What is up, guys? Welcome to Breakfast with Bobby, episode 12. So, doing things a little differently today. Once again, I am perpetually behind. However, I want to go over my grocery door. Oh, goodness. Yep, that's the day. I want to go over my grocery store kind of pickups and mandatories. And I'm going to work my way back through the list. There's going to be some things on here that might surprise you, maybe some things that don't. But either way, enough people have asked about it. I'm not going to go into amounts necessarily, but I'm going to give you some thought and reason and why. Everyone, just one more time, my nutrition is done by Nathan Payton. So I have a nutritionist. Everything I'm about to explain to you and the logic behind, for the absolute most part, is based on him and his knowledge and information, and then my application of the system he has provided. So, that being said, I guess nobody owns the information, but I've had help. So, starting off with Rice Krispies. We use Rice Krispies as a kind of contest energy source. In the event that I feel like my sugar's low, start feeling that sugar low-like sensation, or if I need to preload for something going into training. It's a real light, dry carbohydrate that really processes pretty quickly, and it doesn't cause me to hold a bunch of water, and it doesn't feel heavy in my stomach. So, Rice Krispies. Also, cost-effective. Next one, sourdough bread. You're going to notice a trend with all the foods I have out here for the most part, is that Nathan tries to limit my sugar intake until specified moments, and I've actually done really well with that. And something I've grown to actually really like is kind of a primary carb source would be sourdough bread. I eat this stuff with everything. It's actually a really good kind of auxiliary source of protein. Eating 5 slices when I do eat this at a time, I'm getting the extra 20 grams of protein out of bread. So it's actually really easy to cross into 100 grams of protein per meal, accidentally, over exceeding, which is really kind of cool because if my meat's a little off or if I'm an egg or two short, there's some give and take there in emergency situations. Sourdough bread, guys, I'm a huge fan. Most other bread, I don't want to say all of the bread, but I'm pretty confident it's almost all of the bread. It's sweetened, like it is, like your honey oat or your honey wheat. There's a lot of extra sweetener and sugar in there, and it's not, I won't say it's not actual bread because it is, but the number of ingredients in a product matter. It really does. And something like sourdough bread, it's very basic. It's a different kind of yeast, I believe. Excuse me, I don't make it, but I would like to eventually. The next cheap staple protein source, eggs, at least once a day. Eggs are pretty cool. They're a great fat source. I am eating whole eggs. I was doing kind of a split of eggs to egg whites. However, when I added the sourdough bread, eating the eggs that I eat became a lot less cumbersome because of eating it like a sandwich. Highly recommend. Popcorners. These are pretty sweet. Think potato chips, but they're made from corn. So really simple. I have a couple different serving directions depending on what I'm doing with these, but there's a multitude of flavors. They also really don't go stale. That's kind of weird as that is to say. You still got to go try them. Is that they taste stale almost whenever you eat them. So it's one of those things where if it stays up in the car a little too long, you're probably gonna be okay. I don't recommend you do that. However, I'm a guy and it happens. So popcorns, I like them. They're corn-based. I can use these as a primary carb if I need to. They pair really well with Fairlife protein shakes. I don't have those out right now. I don't have any in the house at the moment. But popcorners, you can find them almost in any grocery store, and there's a huge variety of flavors. It's also a great way for the chip lovers out there who can't put the chips down to step away. So, cool. Really like my popcorners. Next one. Phage Total 2% Greek yogurt. I rely heavily on Greek yogurt for some of my gut health, actually. It's one of those things where I can definitely tell within a couple days if I haven't been eating it accordingly. Nathan has a particular reason for wanting me on 2%. I'm assuming there's a little more fat in there. I don't have a 0% to really compare it to. But it's actually a decent carb source. It's not decent. There's a limited amount of carbs in there, but enough that you can account for them if you're short sourdough bread. Great protein source. Great aid in digestion. I eat that right off the bat, usually with my first meal, if not with multiple meals, to aid with digestion. It kind of cuts down my bloat as well. Next one, I don't have a whole box of these, I'm kind of ashamed, but Eggos. These are universal. I really like Eggos. It has to be the home style Eggo though. It cannot be any of the offshoots. It just has to be the home style Eggo. These with sugar-free syrup, absolutely phenomenal. You can do breakfast sandwiches with eggs, with sugar-free syrup. Essentially, if you can do it with bread, you can do it with an Eggo. One of my go-to things is I'll actually take this, I'll go sugar-free jam, I'll put some Greek yogurt on there, and I'll let my daughter drizzle a little bit of sugar-free syrup on there, and we call it breakfast ice cream. or we used to. She's a little too old for that now. But we used to call it breakfast ice cream. And it's actually a solid meal for most healthy kids, in my opinion. Gotta be careful how I word that one. But it's also a great meal. It's also a great breakfast if you want to pair it with some eggs, if you need a sweet tooth. Or if you have a sweet tooth and you're fighting the sugar kind of cravings like I tend to sometimes, which is a new thing for me since I've gotten in better shape. So my primary protein source, ground chicken, Brookman's ground beef. So I really like ground chicken, especially with how much it costs compared to 90-10 ground beef, which is really expensive. It doesn't matter how you go about getting it. It is super expensive. Ground chicken, actually, I found out because I was trying to save money with eating 16 ounces in a serving, 90-10 ground beef gets pretty expensive. And even when I was eating 12 ounces in a serving, it was still really expensive. So I told Nathan, like, hey, I'm going to move over to ground chicken, just kind of replace it where I was putting ground beef. It's a massive calorie drop, I believe. I want to say it's, goodness, I'm looking. Yeah, I want to say you're getting almost 300 calories less per 16 ounces, maybe a little bit more than you would with like 90-10 beef. Obviously, a fattier beef, it'll go down. But it's roughly 80 grams protein per serving. So I can just open this up, dump it in. I do cook with beef tallow, which again, even this combination together, beef tallow plus the ground chicken, still from where I'm looking is cheaper long run than buying 90-10 ground beef. The beef tallow actually does really well. It keeps the chicken moist. It actually adds a beef tint of flavor to it when you cook with it, which is really nice and kind of a relief. Makes for great chicken burgers. You can do it with ground turkey, but ground chicken tends to cook really well. Pro tip: Purdue, you guys are pretty cool. There's no doubt in my mind. There's more, like, no antibiotics ever. Like, okay, cool, the stamp's there. This is good for Walmart, right? But when it comes to Purdue ground chicken, they make two of these. One of them comes in a green package, one comes in blue. The green package is about 20 cents more. Go ahead and pay the 20 cents. The flavor is, it's a 20 cents upcharge for a $20 flavor difference, to put it mildly. So go ahead and upcharge here. I really like it. It's easy on my wallet. So if you are somebody like me who has a kid you're responsible for, you have a family, you have bills that other people depend on you to pay, this is a great way to cut down on your monthly finances. Ground chicken. I know it's not ground beef. I know in the past I've always said, like, I eat the animals I want to look like, which looking back now is incredibly ignorant. It's why I only ate red meat. I didn't eat a lot of pork. I didn't eat very much chicken. I didn't like chicken. But since learning myself more with chicken and how my body processes it so quickly, and how I can eat 16 ounces of this, and then 2.5 hours later, I'm ready to eat 16 more ounces. Sometimes sooner than that. That is not an option with my body for red meat. So I really, really like ground chicken with the addition of beef tallow. Epic Fat Works is solid. I just threw away the other one I get. Epic Fat Works is good. Amazon is probably the cheapest place to get it. And then simple enough carrots. I need to have a vegetable with essentially every meal. All right. Nathan doesn't have it programmed for every meal for me, but it's damn near, and I just feel better when I do. These are also great in my personal situation where if I get a hunger craving, or not even a hunger craving, but like a taste craving, which is, again, very new for me, especially if it's carby. If I eat one of these, the crunch and the work involved does tend to satiate my problem. So it helps me not cheat. It took some time, but it's actually kind of a cool trick. These are also great for digestion. It's a big thing, especially when you're consuming nearly 16 ounces of protein with most meals. Digestion's very important. Carrots help me a lot with that. They're also good for your teeth. If you're doing a lot of chewing, you need some strong teeth. So, boom, we'll leave that there. The next one, this isn't a Nathan Payton, this is a Bobby Thompson. Sweetened hot salad peppers. There's a little bit of sodium in here, and there are carbs. However, this is a veggie. Nathan wants a fruit and or veggie with almost every meal, and this is something if I'm having a real bad day and I need some fun carbs, which doesn't happen often. I do reach for minute rice. I stay within either the cilantro and lime flavor, or make sure this is one of my safe ones. This actually is in the house, but it's not one of mine. I usually stay with the cilantro and lime flavor. It's not too far off. It's not my personal favorite carb source for the way it makes me feel. But if I'm ever having a real rough day and I need something I can shift to, I can go cilantro and lime, minute rice, some of these, and Baja Blend kinder seasoning with a little extra salt and a little extra pepper. And with some beef tallow, and it's a great meal. And it feels like a cheat meal for me. It tastes so good. I really enjoy it. I can get it down quick, and I feel good after I've eaten it. And the hot peppers just add a little bit of differentiating texture, which can be the difference between finishing a meal and not finishing a meal when you've been doing this as long as I have. So the next one we have, this is an everyday option for me. Orta extra crispy fast food fries or restaurant style fries. These are on the lower end of the quality for my carb options, but they are a low quality carb option. So they're here, they're simple, you can mash them. I've mashed them up and used them as mashed potatoes. I've made hash browns with them. I've eaten them, you know, I've made like half open turkey burgers and split my carbs down the middle between sourdough bread and French fries. These I genuinely like. I'm glad these are a lifesaver. I'm so glad Nathan offers me these. Primarily because with this, I can make, when you have a kid, I'm sure you've all had to make separate meals. All the dads that compete or the dads that are trying to be, really just the dads who might be trying to better themselves and not eat what their kids are eating. Not saying they're feeding their kids unhealthy things, but your kids can eat certain things and you probably shouldn't. Kind of a thing, right? Early in life, you have time, you can teach them. Point being, these are real simple and fast and cheap and easy to serve to the whole family. Which, again, I know really, oh, you're a straw man at your job, they should understand. Well, yeah, they do understand, but it still doesn't change the fact that when my 10-year-old daughter wants French fries and daddy can eat them too, it makes things a lot faster. So, or soon to be 10. So, boom. This is my sugar-free syrup. I swear by this stuff. I've added it to my Greek yogurt to cut down on the bitterness before I kind of developed a taste for it. This, real simple, great value. Great Value brand sugar-free syrup. My cheat meal, because Nathan does give me those, usually it is something to do with a Red Baron brick oven pizza. Now, I have a sensitive stomach, and the Red Baron pizzas, for whatever reason, they treat my stomach okay. I always go with the thin crust, and I always look for a dry pizza, if that makes sense. I don't want to go get a pizza that's going to be seeping grease off it. That doesn't make my stomach feel good. And I know it's a cheat meal, right? Well, you're not supposed to feel good after a cheat meal. Well, for me, a cheat meal and an absolute blowout of things I know that hurt me, like like the stomach inflammation, it slows down my digestion for quite more than 2 or 3 days. Realistically, I don't feel okay. I feel lethargic. Sometimes it even affects my mood. So I'm super careful. And when I look at a cheat meal, it's kind of like disarming a bomb and not knowing which wire to clip. And then eventually you clip enough wrong wires, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm not clipping the blue wire this time. I have to be functional in a day and a half. Like, there are things like that you have to learn, and your cheat meals are just bombs, and you're a bomb tech. And you have to pull them apart and find the ones you can apply appropriately when you deserve them, understanding that, and that aren't going to wreck your gut for the rest of the day. Because when I have a cheat meal, that does not exclude the rest of the food I am responsible for eating. It is in replacement of, along as in addition to, the rest of my meals. So you can't eat something that's going to screw up the rest of the day. Can't do that. It's pointless. So, hope this is a little bit of insight. This is my kind of my normal Walmart run. I didn't tell you how much I normally get because it depends on what's going on that week and if I'm traveling or not. But boom, it's pretty simple, guys. By the way, a lot of this you can feed your family on too. You can make some really nice, delicious dishes with your dry seasonings versus your wet seasonings. Wet seasonings are generally going to be more of a sugar, kind of a sugar problem, kind of gums up your insides. And finding sugar-free ones can be kind of a pain in the ass. I personally just drift over to dry seasonings. You can do a lot with Kinders. These guys are phenomenal. They have a butter seasoning I stay away from just because I'm not supposed to consume butter at this point. And I just haven't looked into why it's a butter seasoning. But Kinders, the Faja blend. Sorry. The fajita blend. Good God, I need to go eat. Sorry, guys. The fajita blend, and then the Kinders, the blend. These are my go-to. They're easy. I know Costco sells them for pretty cheap. Walmart can hit you over the head, but I do most of my other grocery shopping at Walmart. So hope this helps, guys. Hope it makes sense. Hope it humanizes what I've done and maybe opens up the doors to the simple possibility of the great things you yourself can do with just a little bit of information. So hope it all makes sense. I'm not a nutritionist. This is just what I do, and it's what I pay my nutritionist for. All right, guys. Thank you.